It's philosophy time, or theology, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, with my old man Chris. Oh, I wonder if Aaron Rod's going to watch this fucking video.
That you cannot go... William Lane Craig, in his book On Guard, talks about Al-Ghazali's idea that you cannot go through an infinite number of events one at a time, and it implies that there needs to be a beginning. Now let me explain. Let's look at this pencil that this student is using. Now, it didn't just pop into existence. This pencil was bought by this student's mother before it was brought to school. But before that, this pencil was in a box being shipped to the store. And before that, the pencil was being manufactured in a factory. And before that, the materials to make pencils were being shipped in trucks. And before that, the materials were being gathered by the workers, and this goes on and on. The idea is that these events are like dominoes, and in the same way that one domino hits another domino and so on, these events cause the next event to happen until the pencil eventually gets to the student using it at school. Now, instead of pencils, let's look at the Christian God of the Bible.
That's not just yet. I lost my train of thought. Okay. The question, who created God? If God, and atheists like to say, Aaron Ra likes to say, if God created the universe, who created God? That has got to be the most stupidest, most asinine, dumbass, imbecilic question ever. Aaron Ra, why are you atheists not asking who created the universe? In fact, Aaron Ra believes the universe and reality or more correctly, reality. Universe is just a facet of reality. The reality is no doubt 100 trillion times more complex than this universe is. I wouldn't doubt that for a second. Aaron Ra says reality is eternal. It didn't have a beginning. It's always been. Well, Aaron Ra, who the fuck created the universe? Why do you atheists have a fucking problem with the universe being created? When somebody brings up the concept of God, well, who created God? Well, hey, dumbass, jackass, cunt. If the universe can be eternal, why in the goddamn blood red color busted cunt fuck cannot God be eternal? Why? Just because he's a living being? And the universe is not alive? But Aaron Ross's consciousness, the universe might have a consciousness. So why the fuck do you don't? So why the goddamn fuck not call it God? Fucking dumbasses. But what I'm trying to say, this video right here tries to take. Apparently, we're gonna watch more of it. It's trying to say everything had to have a beginning. That's what that dumbass Christian unapologist. I call him an unapologist because he's stupid as a bowl of rocks. He's a liar. And he's ugly. If I look like Venom Fangs X, I'd want to die or get cosmetic surgery. He's so goddamn plain and average that he's ugly. Infinite regression. William Lane Craig says you cannot have infinite regression. But hey, dumbass, you're overlooking something. What if time is just a fucking illusion? Reality can be eternally gone forever and ever without a cause, and going back into the past forever and ever without a cause if it's the eternal now that I am. If everything that ever happened in the past and everything that will happen in the future from eternity to eternity, it's happening this moment right now. And does that mean determinism, that we have no free will? Fuck no. Free will is part of the equation. Why are you so allergic to taking free will out of the equation? You stupid bitch. So, Let me try to explain something to your feeble minds. Reality is like the number line. Every number that the numbers you can count forever and ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll never come to the end. You'll be counting forever and ever and ever. Or you can go backwards. -1, -2, -3. Forever, ever, and ever, and ever. Every number that could possibly be from infinity, negative infinity, to positive infinity already exists. It already exists. Don't you get it? But if you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's the illusion of time. But the numbers are already there, even before you speak them into existence. They're already there. And every number on that number line has a relationship to each and every other number. From negative infinity to positive infinity. And everything in between. Okay. Let me explain this to you in a way your feeble minds can understand it. And while we're getting on the subject, I already covered that. I already covered it, I think. I'm getting senile.
And who created God?
God has always been. And if there is no God, the reality has always been.
Through 3
Your feeble minds cannot comprehend it because you're stupid human beings. You're not God.
points. Point number 1. In order for people to exist, something needs to be eternal.
Amen. There are only two candidates. A God or reality itself. If there's if it's reality, then reality, it's as if Stephen Hawking even said, the famed atheist Stephen Hawking, super scientist, said, it's as if the universe has a mind behind it. And he didn't believe in God. Well, guess what, Stephen Hawking, you wheelchair bound bitch, talking like a fucking robot. Why not call him God, you dumbass invalid?
William Lane Craig, in his book On Guard, talks about Al-Ghazali's idea that you cannot go through an infinite number of events one at a time.
Yes, you fucking can. If they already exist, if they're already all happening. This moment, the eternal now, there is no time. Everything from infinite past, as I told you, like the number line, and infinite present, infinite negative, and infinite positive is already exists. You're going through a successive number of events is the equivalent of you counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And it implies that there needs to be a beginning. Now let me explain.
No, it fucking doesn't.
Let's look at this pencil that this student is using. Now, it didn't just pop into existence.
This pencil, let's say this pencil is number 1. No, shit. Let's say this pencil is number 10.
This pencil was bought by this student's mother
That incident was number 9.
before it was brought to school. But before that, this pencil was in a box being
The pencil in the box is the number 8.
shipped to the store. And before that, the pencil was being manufactured in a factory. And before that, the
That's number 7.
materials to make pencils were being shipped in trucks.
Number 6.
And before that, the materials were being gathered by the workers, and this goes on and on.
Number 5. And each number has a relationship to it. The other number. Get number 5, number 4. You can keep going on, and just you think you get the point 0 would be the starting point, if there is a starting point. But let's say number 1 is the catalyst that created the Big Bang. So you think number 1 is the very beginning, is what started it all. Oh, but dumbass, you don't realize there's numbers lower than there's 0.5 one half. And then you can cross over the threshold of 0 and start going backwards. So you find out that what you thought was the cause of the Big Bang had a cause in itself. When you go from 1 to 0.5. And then you find that it's as if it's an infinite regression. And each number, and it does in such a way that every number has a relationship to each other. I wish I had the fucking words to describe what I'm trying to say. I can see it clearly in my mind, but I can't find the fucking words to describe this shit. That fucking pisses me off.
Idea is that these events are like dominoes, and in the same way that one domino hits another domino and so on, these events cause the next event to happen until the pencil eventually gets to the student using it at school.
Everything is happening at this moment. Everything.
Now, instead of pencils, let's look at the Christian God of the Bible. Now, someone may ask, well, who created God? And for the sake of building an argument, let's just say that the Christian God and Jesus were created by a greater God. So let's call this God, God 2. So God 2 created Christian God. Nice. Problem solved. But actually, another question arises. Who then created God 2? Well, actually, the answer's pretty easy. God 3 obviously created God 2. And this creates a bigger problem. Because if everything needs a cause for its existence, then us as people could never exist. Why? Let's look at ourselves, the existence of people, as being a domino. And the Christian God who created us, he's the domino before us. And God 2 is the domino before Christian God, and God 3 is before God 2, and so on. Now, if everything always needed a cause for its existence, then there would be an unending or infinite number of dominoes, and if there was an infinite number of dominoes, we couldn't be here because nothing could ever begin. And for people who believe in the Big Bang Theory, this is still a problem, because
0 is the beginning. And boom, everything from infinity to infinity appeared. In such a way that, from our perspective, it was always here from the get-go. And in reality, it was always here. There is a secret place. The number 0 is where everything, poosh-ow, exploded and existed. Not just the Big Bang of this universe, but the super Big Bang that created everything that eventually led to the Big Bang that created the universe. That is if reality is God and not God. But I believe there is a God. Yes.
Coffee's been out there.
I'm coming to get a second. Am I getting through to you? Am I making sense? Am I finally able to find the fucking words to describe what I'm trying to say? And the Big Bang of our universe would be number 1. But something called the Big Bang. That's 1/2. But eventually, you get something. You could go on and on and on forever and ever and ever. Yeah, get this. Now, this is something freaky. Between the number 1 and 2, there is just as many numbers between 1 and 2 as there are numbers on the number line. You see, that's the weird thing about infinity. Infinity in eternity is actually an eternity of eternities. Infinity is actually an infinity of infinities. And the negative number line, there's positive and negative. Positive and negative come together and cancel each other out is the number 0. But you'll never get to the first cause. But get this. Everything that ever happened is already in existence. It just takes time to realize it, to experience it. Am I making sense? Stupid.
Because let's just say that the Big Bang does happen, the question still arises, how did it start? How did the required materials needed for a Big Bang to happen get there? And even if they did get there, how did those materials get there? No, the very fact that we are here and alive is proof that someone or something was eternal. Because if everything needed a cause for its existence, then there would be an infinite number of events that would need to happen in order for us to get here. And if there was an infinite number of events before us, things could never begin.
Bull fucking shit. You Venom Fang X clone copycat bitch. If everything is happening this moment, you can have an infinite regression. That's called a paradox. 0 is the beginning, but there was never a beginning. Can your feeble minds see in your mind what I'm seeing in my mind, bitch? On Raw.
Therefore, in order for us to be here, there needed to be a starting force to push down the
I'm gonna
first
go get
domino.
my fucking cup of coffee.
Point number 2. The universe can't be eternal. Science tells us that our universe is actually expanding, and that our universe has a limited amount of energy. Now, if our universe is expanding, and we were to reverse time, our universe would just be a little bit smaller than it is today. And if we rewinded time over and over again, we would eventually be at a place where the universe started at a single point. In addition to that, think of the energy that...
Maybe 0 is a starting point of the universe. But before 0 is negative 1, negative 2, you have some causes that cost 0. Keep in mind, each number has a relationship to every other number. So it is in reality. Everything in reality is really one. Everything, we're all one reality. So everything has a relationship to everything else. Every subatomic particle, and smaller, has a relationship to each other particle. And energy has a relationship to other forms of energy. And we're really all one. We're one entity. And this entity is known as reality.
That's being used in the universe as a fuel tank to a car. If right now our fuel tank is half empty, then there needed to be a time in which the tank was actually full. All of that to say, the fact that our universe is expanding right now and has a limited amount of energy that's being used in our solar system and galaxies, all of this points us to the fact that our universe had a beginning and therefore could not be eternal. Point number 3. The God of the Bible claims to be eternal. Psalm chapter 90, verse 2. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. Notice how it says from everlasting to everlasting. What the author of this psalm is saying is that if you start from this infinite period of time here and travel to this infinite period of time over here, God was always there. He had no beginning and has no end. He always was, always is, and always will be. You see, for people who ask the question, who created God? They need to know that the God of the Bible is eternal in nature, which means that time doesn't apply to him. because he is the God who created time and is therefore timeless. And the Bible further explains that we as Christians are able to receive everlasting life in God because our God is eternal and capable of giving eternal life